Other than that, that's all I have. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'm sorry, I have something really quick. In the, on the regular meeting minutes, October 5th, page 1, 2, 3, it would be the last paragraph. There for Mike was asking for an apology. It says, Stephen asked me or Phyllis if you found this amusing, and Stephen, I do. You can add that. Because he also said, because it's like I'm babysitting a bunch of kindergartners. Six.
Did you say that?
Yes, sir.
Did you say that? I don't, yeah.
That you're acting like a bunch of children? Yeah, I believe I did.
I'll make a motion to approve October 5 minutes.
We have a motion from Councilman Fenwell to approve the minutes for October 5th. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Twyla. With one L.
Absolutely.
Any further discussion?
Do you just want to approve those minutes, or do you want to go?
It don't matter, I guess. I
Do all
just-
of them individually, or do you have to just want to choose?
Does anybody have any other changes on the 10th or 10/20 and 10/27?
27th.
Being none, I guess I would amend my amendment or motion to include all the minutes from the 20th down to 27th.
Tyler, good with that?
I'll agree with that. Second.
October 5th, 20th, and 27th. Okay, vote. Steve?
Yes.
Twyla?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And Elaine?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
And Miss Jennifer?
Yes.
All approved. Moving on to the payroll and bills. Who has information on the SCADA system?
We received, we have an old computer in the Public Works office, and it's for the SCADA system. And it is very, very old. It should be replaced. We aren't, but we got a bill for $150 to renew the virus protection or something. And that's when this all came about, how old it was. It's still on the Vista program. Yep.
Okay.
And our SCADA system is important.
What's the SCADA system?
It keeps track of, John, you want to,
What's the SCADA system?
The SCADA system is like monitors our lift stations and our water tower funnels. It reports to us as soon as there's an issue.
Okay,
Do you use it for anything else besides that?
We do not,
Just
just because we don't want, we don't access the internet with it because we don't want to have anything hack in or whatever and screw up that computer.
there's nothing else on that computer but this.
This is something we just found out and they didn't know for the budget stuff. I don't know.
So she was saying that there was $100 bill to renew the virus protection on it. That's when they realized how old it was.
So you're requesting like $1,100 computer?
You can't do it on anything cheaper.
I mean,
This is just the bare bones. I mean, there's no extra anything, just enough to run the SCADA system.
You can go to Best Buy and buy a computer for $500.
300 bucks.
Well,
I mean, I don't know if that would work. I have no idea. I just
It's from Computex though, right?
right,
500 gigs.
Does that come with anything, like maintenance and warranty and all that fun stuff for the $1,000?
1 year antivirus protection.
That's it?
Well, that's what I'm seeing here. Integrated audio and video.
Is this a bid or a bill? Proposal?
Mhm.
We just had to replace ours. We got one from Intel over on,
It's valid for, the quote's valid for another month. Can we do a little bit more checking? That'd be okay.
Yep.
What's, anybody have a problem with that?
I got no problem with it. I mean, if it's just running the SCADA system, I would assume you don't, I mean, you don't need a big fancy, I mean, it needs to definitely work, but
Well,
I
it
don't-
doesn't need 500 gigs. Cause isn't that gonna add on? Or is that considered basic now?
I don't know.
I mean, it's in there running now with probably 10.
yeah,
I mean-
more in your phone.
But if it's also running Vista, you can't like that.
I
That
don't,
is old school.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking. So it definitely needs to be upgraded, but I don't,
I don't know to what.
Check another quote if we can.
I mean, can you actually call the people that run that SCADA system and ask for recommendations?
I
Or
could, I'd probably go through the engineers because they know who it is.
Yeah,
I
I
think it's
mean,
ops work.
they would know what we need as far as gigabytes and RAM and all that. I mean, I don't think you,
I think it's Adam from East West, computer before, I mean, it sounds like he is doing the system backwards and forwards, but he would have a very good recommendation, I would imagine. Very knowledgeable.
Okay, we want to hold off until we get, more information then.
Yeah.
Payroll or bills,
What's this CNC storage thing here? $222.
that's, I bought a time clock for punching in and out. I bought it at, Sam's Club. And then I just brought it up here and turned in bill for it.
Why do we need a time clock all of a sudden?
I've been pushing for it since I got elected mayor.
Okay. Why does it say pending receipt on here?
I'm sorry.
Why does it say pending receipt?
I wrote the bill from my company,
Okay.
but I didn't turn in the receipt from Menards or from Sam's Club.
Do you have the receipt?
Yeah.
Are you gonna turn in the receipt? Are you going to turn in the receipt?
Yeah.
Okay.
The
I
receipt,
have a question on the time clock.
yep,
I personally don't feel like we need a time clock, and I don't understand why all of this sudden you made a decision, the mayor made a decision to buy a time clock without approaching the council about it at all.
there again, I've been pushing for a time clock since I was elected.
This is the first I've heard of that, the first time I've heard of it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know how long you've been on the council, 2 months? Since June? Yeah,
No, I was appointed prior to when I was elected.
yeah.
I think it should be up to the council to decide if we need to change, if we're going to be changing the way things are run in the office. I think that should be a council decision, not the mayor's decision.
what do we have now?
Nothing,
I thought they were punching in and out on their computers.
no.
No,
there's nothing there?
that system
It's
was,
right in your time.
That ain't right.
that system was instituted before it was fully vetted. Like we voted for, as far as I understand, we voted for a time card system. Can everyone hear me? Sorry. We voted for a time card system that was expensive, that involved the computers and their cell phones and everything else. But we had problems vetting it, and it got implemented before it was fully vetted. So
That was with Mr. Baldwin.
kind of, it was during when he was back and forth between,
We updated to a better system, I thought it was pretty expensive.
yes, but it wasn't, the problems weren't hashed out before it was implemented. So we ended up just chucking it out the window and wasting that money. So that's why I can see why talking about it in council would be a smart idea. So we're not wasting money again.
Ward County has thousands of employees and they have a payroll department. They have no time clock program at all. Everybody handwrites their time on a sheet and hands it in every 2 weeks.
That's what I do at my job every week.
Exactly.
Brent, you have to punch in?
I write down every day what time I start and end, but all I get is my 40 hours, unless it's approved. You know what I mean?
You don't have a time clock where you have to
No.
punch in? Elaine, how about your people?
My people have a time clock, but I don't clock in and out because I'm salary, not hourly.
Mine would be the same way. They clock in on their computer.
On the computer?
We had talked
Are the
about going
time
back to
cards
the time
for the
clock.
2 week pay period, or are they just for 1 week, or what kind of time cards are they?
2 weeks, I believe.
The ones you got today?
Yeah.
1 week.
Is it 1 week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, those won't last very long. They get paid, they run their time cards by 2 week periods, not one.
What's the difference if you punch in for 1 week and you get a new card, you turn in the second one for that 2 week time frame?
Well, I'm just gonna say, because I used to do time cards when I first worked at the school, and it is a very cumbersome process to sit down and calculate every single person's time. It is a very cumbersome process. You have to have some sort of degree in mathematics to do the rounding, and it's a lot of work. It's very labor intensive.
That I will agree with because I have to do all of my employees' time.
Yeah, it's very labor intensive. I think if what is we have now is working, then that's fine. It should stay that way. If there's an issue, then it should be addressed. We don't need to punish and penalize everybody and buy a new time clock.
It sure isn't being punished by having to punch in, my gosh. Okay,
Oh my
so just for an example, say these guys gotta come in, Public Works has gotta come in they get called in at 5:45 in the morning, they get here. What's wrong with punching in? They gotta stay late.
It's an extra step that each person has to take, and if they haven't done it for all this time, it's very difficult to get back into it.
We were just
I'm
doing
sure
a time
AJ
clock.
would rather get and deal with whatever the emergency is rather than, oh wait, I gotta go in the office and I gotta punch in on the time clock and then I can take care of whatever.
See, I look at it a little bit differently where, to me, it's not that it's, we don't trust our employees thing. But if we look back at what happened, let's call it 6 months to a year ago with the police department, it becomes a we don't trust them. So I would think, just so everybody is fair and honest about it, you would do it on your computer and not have to calculate it. It would protect our employees is how I'm looking at it, instead of being thrown under the bus, kind of saying that they're not working their time here, they're not working their time there. If they come here at 5:45, if they don't want to clock in, they just tell Diane in the morning, hey, we got here 5:45, and she can punch them in. If they have to go right to a job site.
It does kind of cast a shadow on the employees that you don't trust them.
I guess I just thought it was good record keeping. We always had it, when I was at Sash and Door, we had punch in, and we added our own hours up on the time card and we turned them in. I mean, it's not, doesn't take any math skills for the office to.
You gotta divide everything up per job too, so.
We pay to the minute at Medicine.
Oh, really?
We pay to the minute. So,
It is a lot of work to calculate a time
Kevin.
card. It's not that you work from 9 to 2 and you're done for the day. It's a lot of
I'll
work.
just add one thing to that. When I was here as chief, with the time clocks and we logged into the computer. The only problem we ran into with it is when an officer got called out at night when he was called. And say he gets called at 2:45 in the morning and he heads in. It was fine if the computer worked and he could log in at that 2:45 that you were leaving to head in. But we'd run into bugs once in a while with the system. But overall, the second one that we had, not the first one, but the second one, Jason Vaughan got, seemed to work better as far as the mobile. You were able to use your cell phone and the computer to do it. That's the only thing where I saw where we had a couple issues, bugs to work out in the system itself. But other than that, I didn't see an issue with it at the time.
Isn't that the system that they unplugged? It was costing
I
us?
would assume so. When I left January of 2018, we were still using that system. And it was the one where you used your laptop or your cell phone. But the only time we'd run into a bug once in a while was the inner system of whatever it was for the system. Like the president of the council said, Mike said, that there were some bugs in the system itself.
It wasn't, they couldn't, from what I understand, they couldn't divide it up into those.
Yeah,
There's so many different categories.
the hours weren't right. They went quarterly, every 15 minutes. That's where we ran into issues. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention from what I remember.
Isn't that the system that we shit canned this spring?
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know exactly what transpired.
Weren't we paying like $1,000 a year
not
or
cheap.
something for it?
It was not cheap for sure.
Was it just for the software or was it a monthly fee to have somebody else
I
do
believe it was an
something?
annual fee. The question is though, are we gonna reimburse the mayor for this $222 for a time clock and time cards? Are we going to that system now? If we,
That's up to you, I
There
guess.
wasn't a system of punching in somehow, either
I don't-
on the computer or on the phone or something. I didn't know there was.
I write down every day where I work, sign it, hand it in. I don't see a problem with that. I've been
If
doing it
you
for,
work here,
huh?
if you work for us, would you want to be punching in or not punching in? With the council that is sitting here? In the conversation,
Yeah.
get a time card. I think you have to. I honestly do. I hate to do it. But I think they can do it on
I've
the
never heard
computer.
of a problem with an employee's timesheet or what they've been getting paid for, other than what has happened in the past. We need to move on from that. I don't see a problem with the way they've been doing it. I see no reason to change it.
And it just screams, we don't trust them to me. I don't like that.
I agree, but I don't know what else to do.
I think there should be, 3 times for convenience, one in the police department, one in the public works, right inside the door, and then one in the office. That would.
Absolutely not.
And then Elaine, I believe you created a spreadsheet that when you were the auditor, where you could, I used to make the time frame. I mean, about a construction team.
I did.
So I mean, that's in the system too to save money. But I would totally agree with you. What you're saying.
Guess I wouldn't mind having one at the park too. For kids coming in concession stands and stuff like that.
You're working again?
That's
Okay.
our problem, not ours.
The chair will entertain a motion to either keep the time clock and pay for it or give it back.
I still think we should give it back. I'll make a motion that we,
I don't think it's a
Keep the way it
motion. You just approve the bills without paying that particular bill.
But
okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the bills, except for the time clock.
And the
I'll
SCADA,
second that.
Huh?
and the SCADA's on there as well.
That's kind of up in the air until we get a second
It's
quote, I
tabled.
think, or a few more ideas.
Yeah, take it off, then your motion, don't you? So either table it or whatever, that part of it.
I've already got it marked table.
Okay, thank you. Is that sufficient? Okay.
Okay, we have a motion to pay the payroll and the bills, except for the, $222 for the time clock. Motion by Steve, seconded by Twyla. Roll call.
I
Steve,
made the motion, sir.
Mike made the motion.
you made the motion?
Yes, sir.
Uh-oh. I'm getting confused again. I'm getting as bad as Joe Biden. Okay, Mike.
Yeah.
Twyla.
Yes. Yes.
Jennifer.
No,
Brent.
My question is, the thing with the time clock dying, or are we going back to it after this, or what?
It's not discussion, sir, sorry. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I didn't mean to step on your toes there.
Not a problem. Got my big boots on. Elaine,
What did Brent say?
he hasn't said it yet.
What did Brent say?
Elaine?
Yes.
Yes. Brent?
No, I don't think so. Time clock.
Okay.
What was Brent's vote?
No. Motion passes. Approval of the financial reports and other reports.
I'm a yes.
Oh, I forgot about you. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I seconded that and I didn't think I did, but I'll take a second.
Okay, again, approval of the financial reports and other reports.
I didn't see anything in here.
I have a comment about the financial report, the expenditure budget versus actual. I believe that we look at the general fund under non-departmental 4150, under the first city contribution. I believe that was double budgeted for. So it looks like the general fund has an excess of $48,000.
Jenny, what is the title of the one you're looking at?
Well, I'm looking at expenditure budget versus actual, Gary.
Which month?
And this one right here, the one that says, oh yeah.
For October or
And you're
September?
looking for 9 of the 20?
Well, I'm on 10 of 20, but 9 of 20 is the exact same thing.
Okay, so then on that expenditure budget versus actual, you're looking at which page? On 10 of 20?
It would be under the general fund, and then it's account number 4150, non-departmental.
Okay,
And then under that is number 230. Object 230, any first city contribution, and if you look over to the appropriation, it says, $48,005. But then if you look at all the departments individually, they also have it budgeted for any first to take out of there, and that's how it should be technically. So I don't know if it was just an error or if it was double budgeted for. In the case that it was double budgeted for though, remember that $48,000 that we assessed to the, or that was assessed to the taxpayer last year.
We'll have to check it out, Jenny, and we'll let you know.
did you hear that, Jenny?
Somebody's gonna check it out.
Yep, I will, Diane said she'll look at it and I'll take a look at it with her as well.
So Jenny, if I could ask a question, it says on the bottom of the agenda that if you have any questions before the meeting to call. If you see these ahead of time, would you let me know so I have an answer here instead of later?
Yeah, I just thought right before the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the chair entertain a motion to approve or disapprove financial reports and other reports.
I'll make a motion, and then we will look into that additional question that Jenny had.
We have a motion by Elaine. A second,
I'll second it.
second by Mike. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Elaine,
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Twyla,
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes. We have personal appearance by Blaine and Nancy Klein. Please come forward. Pretty sure you're not Nancy.
I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing, so I'd have to come up here anyway.
Okay,
Sit over here, that'd be okay?
yes.
Okay. I've been told I have selective hearing problems. I'm sure I'm not the first man to be accused of that. I'm here, my name's Tom Forty, I think we've all lived here all our lives. I'm here on behalf of the clients representing them. First, I wanna, compliment, Ms. Fugere, did I pronounce it right?
You just say future, it's fine.
I've been dealing with her as far as requests for records, meeting laws, et cetera. And she has been completely cooperative, compliant with statutes. And I've been doing this business for a long time. And I don't remember ever before getting cooperation from the public custodian of the records. Starting with the question, well, why do you want them? A request for public records does not require a disclosure as to why you want them. But this is the first time, Mr. Garrett, that I have not received any kind of resistance. And I want the board, this council to know that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
We're here, I'm here, the clients are here because of the city's mistake and the city's violation of its own ordinance. I assume that you all have some background information on this by now. This bill that they've received because they own a rental property is for over $900. That's a big water bill. Yes, sir, I'm
I
sorry.
hate to interject here, but the original bill was, we waived the late fee.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying the billing, there's $100 and some late fees. Yeah. I think the bill, I'm gonna guess $880. And I round that off to 900, but we're talking the same thing, I'm sure. That's a big water bill. If I saw a water bill like that, I'm thinking somebody's got a broken pipe on their side of the meter. I had one of those, that's why I can think of that. The ordinance, it's 9.0102, says that the water is to be shut off when it's more than 45 days delinquent. Well, this apparently was 8 months delinquent. It's been suggested that it's too hard to keep records on who owns a property, who's a renter. Well, first of all, too hard is not an excuse to let down the law. I hear that a lot as a lawyer too, but that would be too hard. Well, if that's what's required, that's what's required. The law doesn't say this is what you do unless it's too hard. I don't know why the utilities were shut off, were not shut off in 45 days, but they weren't. It's easy enough to find out who owns property simply by checking with what I used to call register of deeds, now the county recorder. I'm suspecting that there are city records on this as well that just be accessed. Apparently, again, I'm reading between the lines on some documents that there was a problem of some kind with city software. That's the city's problem, not a constituent. I know, and I think somebody answered tonight, and if you did, you were talking loud enough that I could hear back here, about a problem in the city's auditor's office or something like that. I know a Jennifer Johns is charged criminally with messing with water bills. I don't know if she was in that position at the time this all happened or not, I would suggest, however, that that mere fact would cause somebody to be a little bit suspect about the records. Now, there's been some indication about certifying this water bill to the county or adding it to county taxes. I would really, really caution this council that that would be, in my opinion, a major mistake. You would be switching from the city being the plaintiff and deciding to take an action or not, to forcing the clients and people in their position. What really surprised me about this, and I'm almost too old to be surprised anymore, is the interest that I received from other landlords, not just in Surrey, but in minor or the minor area as well, who are concerned about this kind of an action. They don't have rental property in Surrey, but they've got it in other jurisdictions, and are concerned about, if Surrey can do that, then Minot's gonna do it, and we're all gonna, I'm not gonna pay for the water anymore. I'm not even gonna put it in my name ever. This comes up to an issue of fundamental fairness. It's the city's error in that they didn't send any notice to the clients. And remember that word notice. And they violated their own ordinance. Now, I use the word notice because I assume most everybody here has heard the phrase due process of law. One of the things I've always resented is smart-ass lawyers coming to boards or anybody else threatening, idle threats of a lawsuit, frivolous threats of a lawsuit. For instance, as I sat here and was listening to your meeting, and I don't know if any of you were on the city council, but I'm sure you all were in Surrey at the time. Years ago, the bar on the south end of town, Bottoms Up or something like that, I don't remember the name of it. A lawyer for them threatened the city council with legal action if the city did not amend their ordinance on bar closing times back to the expanded times that the state law had now allowed about 6 to 8 years ago. And my recollection too was that the city knuckled under on first reading. But then I think somebody from these boards talked to an attorney. Back then, it's probably been Hoffman, I don't know. And on second reading, denied that request. Well, that was a typical, idle, frivolous threat from that lawyer. And on my personal history, I remember the very first, if you don't pay my client, I'm gonna sue you letter. I did not get the kind of response, positive response I was hoping to get.
Okay, Mr. Slur, not to be rude, what are you asking for?
Well, I think the city has to swallow this bill.
And you've said why, I guess.
Pardon me?
You've said why.
Yeah,
You made
well,
your
one
deal.
thing, I was talking about due process of law. And one of the fundamental elements of that phrase, which is a constitutional phrase in both the US Constitution and the state, is notice. Notice. And I really don't have any doubt in my mind. And I realize I'm here representing the client. You might want to talk to him for yourself. That's, so be it. But there's really no doubt in my mind that pursuing this against the clients is a violation of the due process clause of both constitutions. And if it's found that a public entity violates a constitutional right, and the most common one I ever see is due process, then that entity can be responsible for actual attorney's fees.
I mean,
Now that, I hate to say that, I want you to know that,
Yeah,
I'm
no.
not that lawyer.
Where's our attorney at?
Yeah, yes, sir.
He had to leave.
Do I
as a
call or does the
conflict.
board call? Yeah, I'm sorry.
I have a quick question for you. Did Mr. Klein come before this, board? Did he come before this board and ask if we waive the late fees, he would pay the bill?
No. We have the entire bill, it's not theirs. I know there's discussions
No,
before.
no, he came to this council, I was
Yes.
sitting here.
I've seen those minutes, yes, sir.
He agreed if we waive the fees, which I made a motion to waive them.
Yep.
He would pay the bill.
I've seen those minutes, yes. I don't see there was a consummated agreement in the sense of what you have to have for final agreement, number one. Number two, an agreement to be responsible for the bill of another has to be in writing.
And that's your,
Can I-
and you can
Essentially,
perceive
have
that
to
all
be
you want.
responsible.
He owns the house. I have a rental unit as well.
Yeah.
And when my renters leave, I may call City Hall and see, is there some water that he owes?
Can I just,
Well, that's,
can I
yeah,
say
and you
something?
found out, if they hadn't paid for 8 months, you would have found out too late.
I found out, no,
Mr. Survey,
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Did I
certificate,
pronounce your name right?
future is
Because I
fine.
knew it
That's
wrong a
fine,
lot.
that's fine. The certifications were due last week and it's
I'm
all,
sorry, I can't hear.
the certifications were due last week and it's already been certified to the county.
Well, it is certified.
Yes.
Well, I would suggest you would say that, but that's your business. Okay. By doing that, as I said, you're reversing the position. You're making them sue the city rather than the city sue them. But I'm sorry, sir, I don't think I answered your question, Mr. Fenwell.
I mean, no, you didn't. I mean,
And I get crazy when a witness doesn't answer my question. What was the question?
well, is he not liable for it? It's his house.
No, he's not. That's
Yeah,
not
he is.
true.
Yes, he is.
No.
He
okay.
is responsible.
Sir, let's agree to disagree.
We'll agree to disagree.
Okay, if you certify it, I'll have to bring it to action. Okay, and like I said, there are other landlords.
Well,
not
then
just
if
here.
you
There-
are bringing
yes,
action-
Yes, ma'am.
sorry to butt in, but I do know this from previously. If you just said you are going to bring action, then we have to be done having this conversation.
No. You're city council.
Anytime that this is what I learned as auditor here. Anytime that you have somebody that says that they're going to bring action against us, then we have to be done discussing it and we'll have to figure that out.
And that's fine. We're not getting anywhere anyway. But you're wrong about that legally. You're not required to do that. You don't have a city attorney involved in this matter. I understand that. But no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm being upfront with you. It's all I'm doing, okay? And like I said, I don't ordinarily make comments like that unless I'm reasonably certain that I'm right. But
I mean,
if I'm
and you had
certain-
stated like and I have no records on this, but
We just
If
have to
we-
be done for discussion
have to be done.
because-
okay, we're
Oh, well, no, you can't tell him what to do.
I can recommend.
I'm gonna guess that he's like me, he used to be told what to do by women, I'm sorry. But no, that's fine, if that's what you wanna do, that's fine. That's, for lack of a better term, that's your prerogative. And then we have prerogatives as well, okay? If you can tell me, Ms. Kruger, this, Jennifer Johns, was she with the city at the time this happened?
I'm not gonna
She already
respond to
been
that.
terminated?
I'm not gonna respond to any of that. I'm
Pardon
sorry.
me?
I'm sorry, I can't respond. to
Well,
it.
you will when I send you a
And that's fine.
request for records.
And that's fine.
And I don't mean that. as a
No,
slight.
I know, yep.
There's other legal action going on here.
Yeah, no, I'm all through them too.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Thank you.
okay, that'll be fine.
Twyla, you're up next.
Can somebody, sorry, sir, can we bump our attorney and have him come back in, please?
Yeah, where'd he go?
Would he speak off?
He has a conflict in this stuff. He can't listen to it.
Oh, okay.
He retired. The chief is gonna get him.
Okay, Twyla, are you there?
I'm here. Are you waiting for Andrew or am I good to go?
He just walked in.
Do you want me to go or are you waiting for something?
Nope, go ahead.
We're waiting on you.
Okay. I wanted to discuss a little bit about what the mayor mentioned in his opening statements of the special meeting last week. I did absolutely nothing wrong at the volleyball game on October 6th. If anything, I was the one who was verbally assaulted by Ms. Johns. Ms. Tellefson contacted my employers 3 times regarding the events of the verbal exchange with Ms. Johns. She was not present and has no idea as to what happened. Mrs. Tollefson filed a formal complaint with the school against me on behalf of the mayor and Connie Tollefson. This complaint was investigated and I was found to have done nothing wrong. I also want to know why the mayor finds it necessary to request my phone records from the meeting on October 27th from 5:30 to 8. I will not be handing these records over as there is no cause for me to do so. I am being accused of being on my phone and texting with Mrs. Knipp and Mrs. Walsh. There's also an accusation of eye contact and nodding. This is nothing but a pure fishing expedition by the mayor. I have absolutely no contact information for Mrs. Walsh, and I was not texting Mrs. Knipp. These items to prove that have been given over to the council president, Mike Thiessen. Also, the investigation at the school, that information was also shared with Mr. Thiessen. The mayor wants to punish me for using my phone. Yet Mr. Dickinson, at 33 minutes and 40 seconds, received a text message, logged into his phone, and answered that text message. I have never once been counseled or talked to by the mayor regarding this situation, but yet now he feels that I need to be reprimanded and that it needs to be decided by the full council. I'm done.
You're done?
You throw me into this crap too?
Okay, what,
It's not a wrap, Brent.
Seriously, Twilight? You're sure quiet at the last meeting, weren't you, when the news was here?
all right,
I didn't have anything to say. I'm not ashamed to say anything in front of the news.
I have here a note, Diane, you got this also, from Steve and Brenda Quist. And in there watching on the video of the meeting on the 27th, it's apparent that Twyla and Tara are sending each other private messages. Only 10 minutes into the Surrey meeting, they assumed that was something that would be,
Is this just their assumption? Do they have any?
well, they watched the movie and Twyla would text and then Tara would smile and then she texts back and it was stuff like
It's
that.
pretty obvious, I know.
Absolutely untrue. Absolutely. Ask Mike Thiessen. He has the information.
So why would it go to Mike Deason and not to the mayor?
Because the
I
mayor's making the complaint.
never once replied to any message that I got from anybody during that meeting. Not one time.
From what I've received, that is true.
Thank you.
Is your phone record?
I did. She didn't respond to anything. You received 4 messages and didn't respond once.
Okay.
I'll take your apology now, Brent.
Ain't happening.
Of course not.
What would I apologize for?
Why don't you get it written up for your text message that you took on your phone?
Honestly, I don't really remember this last meeting.
Honestly, I can remember the ding on the phone and you answered your phone. It's at 33 minutes and 40 seconds. Feel free to review the video.
Well, my phone is actually on video because I recorded you guys twice for your movie, so.
Mr. Mayor, can you move this forward?
Yep, I think so.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mike, we have an accusation made and a rebuttal by Mike saying that it's not true. And so we've got a yes and a no, so we're at a draw. Tara, you're next.
Okay, on the agenda here.
Yep.
Well, first of all, I might as well say what I was going to say here. I don't know how the Quist saw me in my facial expressions since the camera's there and I'm facing here. That's
I
first
think
of all.
the Facebook
I'm
was
just
over
saying,
on the
it's,
side.
she never, you can look at the tape, I watched it 6 times.
Okay.
When I looked at her phone 1 time, and that's it. Brent is actually on his phone.
Well, I actually looked at my phone
Anyway,
and tell
so,
what time it
anyway,
is.
so, since I'm on the agenda.
Hold on, Brent.
Steve, I have a complaint.
Yes.
And I was told, today when I called to check on it, that you said to do nothing with it. So I contacted Steve because I don't have a choice anymore since you didn't want to do anything with the complaint that I filed. This is the first complaint in 23 years officially that I have filed with the city. So I don't want to hear all this stuff about the complaint. I contacted Steve
and Steve is willing to read it, because I don't want to get into it with the person I'm complaining against. Steve, are you still willing to do that?
Yeah, I can read the complaint.
Thank you.
The reason I didn't put it on the complaint for tonight, because the agenda was already out. We had already established what was gonna happen for the meeting. And I don't know how and why it got changed.
We've done this several times.
Well,
Well,
Chuck.
I'm
just
supposed to
wondering, sir.
approve the agenda before it's sent out.
You never come in to approve it.
You never call me when it's ready.
It's the Friday
Yeah,
before the
we're not
meeting.
gonna talk about this now. But the point being that I didn't want it on the agenda because it wasn't on the agenda. That's, you could have waited.
Okay, I guess what I'm wondering then is, when she said, I have this complaint, what were your exact words?
I don't know.
From what I understand, what I was told, that you said nothing, we've already heard it all before. It had nothing to do with the agenda.
The
I'm sorry, I'm speaking.
complaints, we talked about that the meeting tonight is to determine how we handle complaints. And the complaint was to go to Diane, and then she would forward it to me. And then we would either do some counseling on it or bring, what do they call it? Some sort of punishment or something.
But did you use the verbiage, or we've heard it all before?
I don't know.
Is that a possibility?
Anything's
Diane, do
possible.
you remember exactly what the mayor said, please, can you tell us?
He said, we've heard all this before.
Okay, I'm gonna read this, because we'll
Well,
be
if you
here till
read
10
it,
o'clock.
it's the same one that's on the other.
No, I think this, I don't know if everybody has that one or
Starts
not.
out the same.
Okay, after the meeting on October 27th, Brent, Elaine, and Jennifer were gathered by the council table discussing home charter issues, which is in violation of open meeting laws. When I mentioned this to the group about having a private meeting, they disbanded quickly. While Brent stormed past me, he sneered and called me a bitch. I told him to kiss my ass, to which he retorted, "Why don't you just fight me?" I feel he has been violating several leadership codes and is out of control at meetings. He is allowed to rant and carry on, say things that are not true, attack city employees, citizens, and council members. To my knowledge, Dickinson has not been reprimanded in any way. He has not been written up on any behavior issues he has shown. His behavior at the last two meetings alone should have had cause enough for him to be asked to leave the meeting. I am afraid that he is getting preferential treatment by the mayor and by other council members. Councilmember Ganzer was written up for texting me, which never happened during the last meeting, yet Dickinson was viewed on his phone during the same meeting without repercussions. Councilmember Fennewald was written up for his treatment of a citizen during a meeting, yet Dickinson continually harasses me when I have the floor, again with no repercussions. With this behavior being allowed to continue meeting after meeting, I feel is one of the main reasons our meetings drag out so long, and morale with the council, city, and employees is so low. Morale with the council, city, employees is so low. I would like to see him written up for a litany of reasons, although there are dozens of examples, I have only included some herein. I don't think you want me to read those, do you?
The only thing that I want to point out in addition to that is that all of the, examples are taken, most of them are taken directly from approved council members.
Well, except the bottom part.
Yeah, but that's where if I did say that, what I said is the stuff that was in the council packet. It starts out on Tuesday evening, special meeting adjourned, blah, blah, blah. Jennifer Johns and Christensen were meeting. They were huddled together. And it's the same paragraph as the same paragraph there.
I'm confused on what
Yeah,
you're.
she is looking at the complaint part as far as the leadership code and have the meetings out of control with Mr. Dickinson. Nothing to do with the extra meeting that they violated.
Okay,
My turn here to rebut this.
yes, 1 minute.
So when we were standing back here, I was standing listening, didn't even talk. Started walking away, Twyla came right by me, right here on the left of me, and it said, "Brent, kiss my ass," and I said, "Bite me, bitch," after the meeting. That's how it went. You are a liar, and all the stuff that you post every day constantly on social media,
Is it
bashing
gonna be
me,
stopped, or is it
and
gonna continue?
constantly, no, I'm speaking my opinion.
Hey, don't interrupt.
And here's what, I'm not yelling, I'm just talking. You do this constantly, you harass me.
Let him talk.
What?
He
You
has
can
the
sit
floor.
make accusations against me, Mike?
Okay.
You
Mr.
harass
Mayor,
me
are
on
you
a
gonna
daily
make
basis.
are you going to allow Mr. Dickinson to talk like that to a citizen?
But
She
can do it to
talked that
me.
way to him.
You
Yes or
tell
no,
him I
sir?
didn't-
No, yes.
You
You are going to
council
allow
members
that?
don't even stick
I'd
up
like
for
to
your
make a
own
right
council.
to appeal for the council.
You done, Brent? Okay. Twyla had, or Tara had her say and Brent had his.
Nothing will be done then?
Well, I'm getting to that part, if you don't mind.
That was my question, I guess.
Yeah. What needs to be done? Mike?
Have you counseled Mr. Dickinson at all for any of his,
Yes, I have. We've talked several times.
and has it done anything?
Yes, he has gotten better. He doesn't swear anymore.
Has he ever counseled you for taking the power away from the mayor and not giving it to him? Or the administrator? You're the president.
Brent, don't, please.
We go round and round here all night.
Yep. Okay, we have one sentence solutions. Mike?
If Mr., oh, good Lord, I hope I can get this in a sentence.
Two sentences then.
Make your motion.
You need to get control of these meetings, sir. If people raise their voices, if people get agitated, you need to rein it back in. This is your meeting. You need to control it. When we have council members and citizens as well, top to bottom, when anyone up here or anyone out there gets unruly, loud, disrespectful, you need to step in. This is your meeting. You need to run it.
So I have a question.
Okay, thank you. Brent?
So what I'd like to know, is it okay then when you have somebody that bashes me constantly, not just me on social media, every day? You guys know it, you see it, you don't do nothing about it. And she comes in here and she makes accusations against and lies about them. But that's okay, Mike, right? Because it's in your little group. Plain and simple.
That's enough.
Your response, sir?
Yes, sir.
I don't see any bashing of you at all. I haven't been on social media in over a year.
I don't go on it, I hear it.
Well, that's might be the problem, sir.
Oh, no, forward it to me. I have it
You
all.
need to stop looking at that stuff.
I-
Our job is the city, not what people are talking about us. Who cares? It doesn't matter. You are a respectable person enough to where the people voted for you to put you in that seat. All I ask, I'm sorry if I'm being loud, I don't mean to be disrespectful. All I ask is that you show some respect to the citizens and to yourself for sitting there and not losing your temper. Every meeting, you have either brought up the fact that you have been persecuted, or your family's been persecuted, or whatever cross you feel like you need to.
Just curious, I lied.
Whatever cross you feel you need to be burying that night.
No, this, come at me. I straightened the record out for what actually happened because she lied.
But that just
Absolutely lied.
becomes a you say, she says, and to be honest, it's a bunch of shit.
You right, you're
I
right.
mean,
You shouldn't be involved in it, sir.
Chuck wrote me up.
I shouldn't be
I
involved.
did.
Do I care that you wrote me up? Am I bitching about it at the meeting? It's tucked away and I'm done. I'm
This is
done with
done.
it.
This
Be
is
done
every
with it.
day.
Be done with it. Be done with
Have
it.
her be done
Be
with
the
it.
bigger man.
She's the one on the
Be the
agenda.
bigger man. Stand up and frickin' be done.
So I'm supposed to sit here and let her bash
Mr.
me
Mayor,
the whole.
please.
Yep,
Be done.
Brent,
Done with it.
okay. That's enough. We'll go on to Article 15.
So Mike is the only one that gets to make a statement?
I couldn't understand what she said.
Mike is the only one who gets to make a statement.
He was defending you, I thought.
I don't need anybody to defend me. I'm asking him if the rest of the council is going to be making a statement regarding Brent.
Why don't you make the motion you guys want? Waiting. It is.
The motion's not there that I'm aware of. And I think you know everybody's feelings up here. I mean, I've talked to you about it
Okay,
before.
but here's my
I
point.
mean-
She's on the agenda.
This is on the agenda.
It was not supposed to be on the agenda. It wasn't even approved by the mayor, apparently.
You can add things to the agenda anytime you want with the mayor's approval.
Wasn't approved.
Okay, we're done with that. I think, I guess I'd like to see everybody having their arguments written down instead of just yelling back and forth.
I would actually make a request to the mayor, write me up on whatever you think that these people want, and you can stick it in my file. Ain't gonna hurt my feelings.
Exactly.
No, but when it's every meeting, the last hour and 40-minute meeting that we had last Tuesday was about me too.
Article 15, complaint procedures. Where's Mr. Schultz? Your turn to make noise.
So at the special meeting, the council asked me to draft up a proposed ordinance for how complaints were going to be handled and investigated. I did that. It's a proposed Article 15, Chapter 4 of the ordinances, and it was submitted to the city administrator, so it will be circulated to the council. There's also I want to call it a disciplinary ordinance for the council. I didn't see anything that has a force of law behind it for the council, so I took the liberty to draft it up. It's just a suggestion. I'm not really advocating for it, and the language is certainly subject to change however the council wants to change.
So my question is, because we've got this paper here that is the Article 15, correct?
Yes.
I don't have that.
That should have been in your packet, I believe.
Then the first packet or the second?
But then Diane, we have, this that was in the packet that came in after for the agenda, and then this is the amended one that was on the table tonight.
I'm talking about the amended. The difference between the two is that section 2, where it says expulsion of council member from meeting, that section was restructured so the topics could be followed easier. There's no changes to the language in that section. The section 4 was added, said amendment of ordinance on aldermen. I added the underlined portion to, I guess, reconcile with the grounds for vacancy and removal.
The vacancy occurs.
Pursuant to the ordinance that's proposed in here or by other state law. Those are the two changes in the amended version.
Yeah, sign it off.
From any of those items.
Nope, yeah, yeah.
So this whole thing is new, or was part of this already in the Surrey ordinances?
The thing that says amended at the top is new. Everything in here is new.
So we have no sections regarding any of this stuff.
That is correct.
There's nothing in our ordinances about removing a council. Is that what you're saying?
Expulsion from a meeting is what we're talking about.
None of this is in the ordinances.
None of it. Never have.
Do we want to take time, table this until we can take time to look through it, and
Takes 2 votes to pass it.
we pass it once tonight and
Yeah.
then look it over?
I'll make a motion that we make this the first reading.
Which one are you on now?
Because again, these are two different sections.
There are two
correct?
different ordinances. They're in 2 completely different chapters. The disciplinary provision will be under the council provisions in chapter 3, and the complaint procedure is in chapter 4. So they're actually 2 completely separate ordinances.
We have a motion by Mike
This is
to,
the, sorry, sir, 1 second, I got a question for Mr. Cole. Oh, sorry, go ahead, I'll wait for discussion, my bad, that's on me.
We have a motion by Mike to approve the two documents,
No, just the one.
just the one.
No, I'm gonna put both in there.
Oh, you're putting them both in there?
Yeah, pending my question, Mr. Cole.
We have a motion to include, to approve the two documents. We have a second. Second by Steve.
Can you explain it better instead of the legal jumble bumble here?
Sure.
I can repeat that legal limit, because I can't hear very well.
Make sure my microphone's on here. Okay, here we go. All right, can everybody hear me?
Can you hear Jenny?
I still can't hear you.
Okay, I'll move you over there for this part.
All right, here we go. So the first section contains an authorization. It's essentially the provision in the North Dakota Century Code that we're using to enact, along with the Home Rule Charter, which has the exact same language as the Century Code. Section 2 deals with discipline of council members. You can either be censured or expelled. If you're censured, then the standard is you have to commit some act, regardless of where it occurs, that tends to bring the council into dishonor or disrepute. The process for it, actually the process for both is the same. Any member can make a motion. It requires a majority vote for censure, a 2/3 vote for expulsion. You have to describe the conduct in the motion, and then after the motion is seconded, there is no discussion, there's just a vote. If that motion is defeated, you can't bring it up again, and that applies to both. The standard for expulsion is unruly conduct, and that is specifically defined as either disobeying the presiding officer's reasonable and lawful commands, being disorderly, or is contrary to the decorum of the proceeding. That expulsion only continues for the duration of that meeting. And again, the process there at the end of the section requires a 2/3 vote with the same procedural requirements as being censured. Section 3 is word for word Century Code 440201, which creates automatic vacancies in council positions. A through J are everything that are in the Century Code. And then K and L, if you're censured 3 times in 6 months or you're expelled twice in 6 months, you're automatically removed. Section 4 amends the qualifications in terms of aldermen to take into account the removals created either by state law or as enacted by ordinance. And it takes immediate effect and requires the city clerk to amend the ordinances in accordance with what's being passed. Let's see here, the investigation complaints procedure, if it's regarding an elected official or the city administrator, it goes straight to the council. If it's regarding a city employee, the city administrator reviews the complaint within 2 business days, forwards a written recommendation to the council, which can include anything, but not limited to a letter and a file, suspension with, without pay, or dismissal. If it's anything else, the city administrator can take care of it and just make a report to the council. The important thing is that this ordinance as written would not prevent the council from having a special meeting if it was, I would say, a sufficiently serious situation to require immediate action. The council could have a special meeting and take action right away. In a nutshell, that's what they do.
Can you just give me layman's term for the word censure to make sure that I understand what that is?
Yeah, sure. So a censure is a formal condemnation by a legislative body saying whatever happened, we distance ourselves from it and we certainly don't approve of it. The definition of what would need to happen in order to constitute censure, like the definition of censurous conduct, is taken from the U.S. Senate. And anything that takes the Senate into dishonor or disrepute, I just took it word for word from the Senate's own governing documents. I can tell you there have only been, I think the last time a senator was censured, it was, you know what, I actually think it was Governor Langer. When he became a U.S. Senator, he was censured for some corruptive practices when he was governor in North Dakota. And that was like 60 years ago.
So censured removed, or what is it?
A censure is.
I don't understand what the.
Sure, a censure is any deliberative body saying one of our members did something that we don't agree with, and we want to let the public know that we don't agree with that. I would equate it to a formal, in terms of this body, a formal legislative condemnation of conduct.
So,
So
then what?
if I were to do something inappropriate and the council was to say, okay, we don't want any part of that, and we don't want to be associated with that, you would censure me.
Yeah, like,
Okay, then where goes it, where does it go from there?
You just made a statement,
yeah, it's just a statement
it's
from
a
the
political
council.
statement.
It's a statement from the council saying we condemn this conduct. Like, if I run down the middle of Pleasant Avenue in my underwear, that's not gonna be a great thing for the city. So I could be censured for that if I was a member of the council.
Okay, sounds good.
Weren't you putting it in there, or isn't there something in there about, removal of one meeting? Is that in the century code, or is that not part of this, or is that just already in there?
It's in here. It's part of, under expulsion of council member there, it's B17B. For unruly conduct, and those three things are specifically in there as disobeying presiding officer's reasonable lawful commands, being disorderly or contrary to the decorum of the proceeding. Duration is only for that meeting.
This needs one reading.
Two.
Yeah, I need to do the first one tonight.
And then like section 3, now is that something you just wrote up or is that something you took out of the century code?
I'm sorry, what's that?
On section 3, is that something you took out of century code or is that something you came up with?
A through J. Okay. In section 3, 18A through J are taken directly from the century code.
And this is why some of this never makes sense. And I'm kind of thinking that some of this was probably in our code of conduct and all that, but whether, depending upon how you look at it, it either is or isn't. But if you look at it, if you die in office, yeah, that's pretty much black and white. Now, B, I don't know how you're gonna prove that. I don't know how you're gonna prove C. I don't know what D even comes close to meaning. And that's where it all becomes, it's either your character's at stake or it's not. What you're doing is either right or wrong. And it's a lot of areas where we can gild the lily, so to speak, on it.
You know, when we wrote the disorderly conduct statute, we basically said as one of the sections that if there were any updates to the century code, they would automatically update for the city. So instead of including all of these, we could just say, whatever grounds for removal under this particular statute as they're updated are fine. We don't have to specifically list them here. So that way, all the case law that's ever created for any of those areas of the statute would filter down, so to speak. So we could phrase it like that.
You pulled these from where again?
They're
A through J?
A through J are directly from 44-02-01 of the century code.
Okay, so this is already in the century code,
Oh, without a doubt it is.
but putting it in an ordinance is.
That's what I'm saying. We already have it to a point. I mean, I get it. Pass it a couple times, so it's in there twice or whatever, and there's more to it. But it's all in the perspective that you believe it to be.
Can you clarify that? I don't understand what you're saying.
We're doubling up. This section right here is already in the century code.
I'm a little confused. Is that piece of paper, that's going to become an ordinance then? Would it hurt to have that in there so it's all in one place?
Well, my concern is that the century code specifically says if it's included in the charter and implemented through ordinances, cities have the power to provide for city officers, agencies, employees, or selection term powers, duty qualifications, and compensation. So erring on the side of caution, I would prefer to write it as it is in the century code and then say if the century code changes, we'll change ours automatically. So I think that's the best course.
It just needs something with some teeth in it, because I think we already have some of this and we don't act on it anyway.
Here's a question for you. This says in 17B1, unruly conduct is conduct with disorderly or presiding officers reasonable or lawful command. Is disorderly or is contrary to the decorum of the proceeding. Does anybody know does anybody have a definition off the top of their head of decorum of the proceeding. How about we replace that with leadership code? If you're violating anything in the leadership code, you can be, it gives the leadership code some teeth then. And that's something everybody's been saying. I have read that, I got it here, the leadership code, top and bottom, it just means be a nice person, that's all it says. I think that'd be a smart move.
See, my opinion on this, I have no problem.
Brent, Jenny's talking, sorry. Jenny, you're gonna have to start over. You have to start over. We had two people talking at the same time.
Oh, sorry, I can't hear very well. The part on the back where it says is removed from office, that means from the recall vote. And then on the front, just to interpret, just before everybody votes on this, just so you have the interpretation of that home rule charter. Where it says provide for city officers, agencies, and employees their elections, terms, powers, duties, qualifications, and compensation. And then of course the rest of it to change the form of government, their selection, creation. This just means like if we wanted to, we could change the mayor's term to a 2-year term. We have the power to do it. We can change his duties. We can change a council member to be on for 6 years. We can change the elected official judge to be an appointed official. As far as the governing body and the structure of government, that second part where it says provide for change, selection, or creation of reform the structure of government, that means there's 3 different types of governing bodies. There's the modern council, the city council, and the city commission. That means we can change within that however we see fit for the city, including dropping down from a council of 7 members to a commission of 5. That in no way empowers the right to remove them.
We spend a lot of time on worrying about removing someone.
It's not,
It is.
you guys have taken that as the focus. That's not the focus.
That's what we talked about for an hour and 40 minutes last week.
It wasn't, sir, sorry.
We have a motion by Mike and a second by Steve to approve the documents.
I would like to amend my motion to, what I had mentioned earlier. Instead of it being contrary to the decorum of the proceeding, it'd be, contrary to the leadership code.
I'll amend my second.
To proceedings. Take that out and put contrary to leadership code.
Does that make sense?
Does your motion include on first reading?
This is,
It has. to,
Yeah, this would be the first reading.
yeah, it's the first reading. Plenty of time to hash it out and.
Okay, Mike made a motion to approve, the 2 documents, with one instead of contrary to the proceedings would be contrary to leadership code. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So that, this part is different.
Well, more or
Got to
less,
that.
this,
Yeah, that's kind of something different again.
isn't this
Yes.
diagram and this ordinance are the same.
Yes, in fact, when the ordinance is passed, I'd like very much for the city administrator to staple both of those documents to the ceiling above the desk. That way there's no confusion.
But here's the
That's
part,
when you go like this.
here's the part that I don't agree with that. And I've thought about it since our last meeting. I don't think, why does this not go to the mayor as far as the complaints when it comes to council members? Why does it go to the ministry? Just curious, why?
As I mentioned in the last meeting, it's good if all complaints go to one, essentially a central clearinghouse, so they can be filtered out from there based on subject. It's simply for efficiency of getting them resolved and cataloged and whatever. Plus, if they go to the entire council, I mean, the entire council is gonna be deciding what to do anyway, so it's a availability of information too.
Can I add one caveat to this whole mess here? I've had a couple conversations with some people about this. It would be really nice if we get a complaint, somebody gets a complaint form, if we follow this structure, it goes to Diane. Can someone, whoever wrote the complaint form, can they please be contacted and say at least it was talked about, it was discussed, anything, just some kind of communication back to whoever wrote the complaint form, so it doesn't sit there and fester and cause, it would do a lot towards, I think, it would do a lot towards public relations to have a back and forth there.
We started that this week, on a complaint about, Mr. Fenwell.
Another one?
And- No, it's the same one. And, what was the
Why
other
just
one?
that
Diane?
one though? There's been multiple ones, but why just that one?
Well, no, it was two of them that I worked on. But we're doing snail's pace getting things together.
I just want these people that write a complaint form to not get left floating in the wind.
Right.
How many times have we kind of talked about that the last meeting, how many times, like, how many complaint forms do you believe has come in to the office since you've been a councilman?
I have no idea, Brent.
Found less than 10, I bet, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I'm gonna say 2 in 23 years before I got back on here.
Yeah,
I think I have 6 now.
that's what I mean, so I mean.
Throughout the years Chuck Bad has had many.
Yeah. But anyway, so we're starting on the process. We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Mike,
Yeah.
Steve,
Yes.
Jennifer,
No.
no, Twyla,
Yeah.
Elaine,
Yeah.
Brent,
No.
and Steve. No, we did Steve already.
Yep.
All right, motion passed. Unfinished business.
Need the mic too.
All cleaning,
Brenda Quist would be happy to clean the hall for $200 a month. Bathrooms, this room, and our offices,
How often?
once a week.
For 200, so that's
$50 a week.
50 bucks a shot.
Well, for a month, you want $200.
Yeah. 50 bucks a shot once a week.
I believe when we have the job descriptions, that's under public works.
I have no idea.
I think the hall cleaning is.
All cleaning the bathrooms, under public works.
They don't have,
The office did it before. Kim and Jenny did it before. On their company time.
well, we do a lot of work in that office and we're cleaning things up that haven't been cleaned up in years. So we do not have time to clean. We'll sweep. We get mud throughout, especially in the winter. The guys will come in and we do some cleaning, but the bathrooms, I'm sorry, and I'm just gonna put this out there. I don't clean up after a man. Why should I have to do it here?
Okay, do we have a motion on hiring Brenda Quist to do the cleaning in the city hall? Second, do we have a motion to approve Brenda Quist for cleaning in the city hall? Hearing no motion. What do you say? It's dropped? Okay, complaint chart for review. That's the color chart.
Can I make a comment that I agree with Diane, that they shouldn't have to be doing the bench, because they just do their own? That'd be easier, so they're not, I agree with you, shouldn't have to be doing the bench. Let the public works guys are doing it.
We've,
We did under the public works job description.
we went over the chart already. Martin Law. Where's that? Martin Law. The application for a retainer fee.
Mr. Mayor, we have a comment.
Uh-oh. Mr. Schultz, sir.
As a practicing attorney, I have a system for how I bill. And I have a recommendation or a request that essentially the council get a little bit more information before they decide to vote or discuss the potential to reimburse this money. And here is my concern. Number one, this is a retainer agreement. It's just a contract for representation. It's not an itemized billing statement for any work done. It's also unsigned. I typically don't disclose my retainer agreements because sometimes they say things in them that I don't want said. My preference would be if whoever is requesting reimbursement could please get a billing statement from Mr. Martin or Mr. Ward and present that for reimbursement instead of using an unsigned retainer agreement.
I do not believe he's done any work yet.
For the deposition for AJ and I. And we're running out of time.
I would then say that this fund that was set up is designed to reimburse, not payment agreements.
Okay,
And if expenses are paid in advance, it would go against certainly the text of the vote that was made. Maybe not the spirit, but certainly the text of it.
You think that that was a legal deal to put taxpayers' money out there?
No comment.
okay.
What do we do? We're running out of time.
So in this situation, I think the best course would be whatever expenses are incurred, they're paid out of pocket, and they're submitted for reimbursement like
no,
any other
No,
expense.
I refuse. I won't do it. There's no way I should have to pay my money out to assist this city with their legal work.
If anybody's sitting up here at this council, got called for a deposition, would you go? We're not, just say, oh goodness, how do I not get myself in trouble with this one? Citizen X said that, Councilman Z.
Just say, we kind of get your.
Yeah.
I know. Like, you want to tell the truth. You're dang right.
Without an attorney.
Yes.
Without an attorney, and you would, and any word that you say in there, whether you meant to or misspoke or whatever, can hang you.
And the city.
And the city, that's the thing. She's currently an employee of the city.
Why do we have a city attorney?
You can't represent me.
Freaking tax dollars though. Get to whoever you kind of need or think you need to.
So this is to,
Not
it's
now.
for you and AJ.
Yes.
He wants $1,000 retainer to
Start working with us.
start working with you on this deal.
This is $1,000 deposit towards fees. This isn't $1,000 for fees incurred, it's for a deposit. There's a difference.
More money coming there.
There's a difference.
The document says it's a retainer.
Right? What do you think?
Yeah, it just means it's condition of him undertaking representation. So I can say, if I'm gonna be representing somebody on a custody case, they have to give me $5,000. Well, I haven't earned $5,000 until I do the work to earn $5,000. So all he's asking for is, he says he wants $1,000 to start work, but that's not going into his operating account. It's getting stuck in a trust account, and as he earns it, it's being transferred.
Yes,
to
but
him.
the balance of my retainer shall be refunded to me provided the fees and costs do not go above the reference cost.
Yeah, that's 4 hours, so he's charging you $250 an hour. If he only does 3 hours, he's only earned $750.
Then you get the money back.
You get $250 back.
Yeah.
So the $1,000 is not for fees earned, and it's not going into his pocket, it's going into a separate account so he can bill from.
What's the difference?
It's not a fee incurred until he actually does the work.
But he'll give back what isn't used.
But the spirit of the
We're
vote is
not out
that if you,
anything.
is that if you incur $900 in fees, they pay for that, they reimburse you.
You got any complaints on this file?
Yes. There has been complaints on it from the citizens as
Why
to,
has that not come to council and other stuff that's slid into the agenda?
that's part of
just
the,
curious.
that's part of the next round of complaints.
As citizens, as employees, they need to be represented.
I'll make a motion to approve the $1,000/retainer/deposit, however you want to word it.
You
I'll
need,
second that.
Steve,
Or would you like that for Diane and agent?
What's that?
Add for Diane and agent?
Yeah.
Twyla, did you get them?
Yes, ma'am, I'm fine with that.
we need to, are we in discussion yet, sir? Are we in discussion yet?
Yes.
we have a motion and a second. Yes, discussion.
Thank you, sir. We need to make sure this doesn't go over. That's,
What if it does go over? We're still in the same situation.
Well, there's still part of
And
that,
it's a situation neither AJ or I caused.
there's still that money still sitting there. What did we approve? 4,000 or whatever it was for the whole lot of them?
I think it was
$59.
5,600.
Okay, so now we're at 4,600. If he goes over, then we dip into that.
But we do have other people.
Yeah, I totally agree. And if we have to come back to the meeting and amend the 56, you can do that.
We would throw more money at it again?
Yep.
Okay, we have a motion by Steve to
Just a little
spend
more in for just a
whatever
little
it
more.
takes.
I have one more comment. Do you really, has anyone checked to see how legal this is? It don't sound good. I'm telling you,
Why is that?
you can't give taxpayers money away like this.
What are we supposed to do? What are they supposed to do?
You can't give taxpayers money away. Not like this.
I don't think we want to go down this road right now. I really don't.
Well, it's gonna go down. a
Yeah, we're
road.
gonna go down it eventually.
You bet you are. That ain't gonna be good.
Nope.
Okay, we have a motion by Steve, second by Twyla. What was the extent of your funds that you would?
That $1,000.
$1,000. Okay, we have a motion, second. Roll call vote, Steve,
Yep.
Twyla,
Yes.
Jennifer,
No.
Brent,
Absolutely not.
Elaine.
Yes.
Let's see, who's left? Michael.
yes,
Did I miss anybody? Nope. All right, information on abstaining.
I would just like to add that Ms. John should abstain from voting in that motion as it has to do with her legal situation.
Well,
Technically, I'm an elected official of the taxpayers of this town, so I have every right to vote on that motion.
We're innocent until proven guilty. Your opinion, figure that out.
I don't see how the editorial comments help.
no.
we have a four paragraph article from the League of Cities that I didn't understand at all. It goes back and forth and round and round.
No, it's just it asks four questions and gives you a response to each.
Yeah. In the Robert's Rules of Order, with the right to vote goes the right to abstain from voting, but the chair should never ask for abstentions, nor do members have the right to announce that they abstain. That's Robert's Rules. Section 3.0111 of the Surrey City Code, Surrey City Ordinance
So what's the deal?
says, here, says that, Unless a member states that he is not voting, his silence should be recorded as an affirmative vote. And then this letter from League of Cities, there again, that
But I think, and I don't know this for sure because I'm not 100% on Robert's rules all the time. But the question is we roll call vote all of our motions. So how does that get affected when we roll call vote versus before we used to roll call vote? I could think of a council member that would sit here and not say yes or no. So because he did that when we didn't roll call and we just all said aye, that when he didn't say something, then he counted as an aye. But when we roll call, how does this affect that?
he doesn't say anything. He refused to answer, I suppose. I don't know. That would be my voting procedure. Demand for roll call. All questions except passage of ordinances shall be put to this form. Those who are in favor of the motion state the question, say aye. Those opposed say no. Unless a member states that he is not voting, his silence shall be recorded as an affirmative vote. In doubtful cases or before the vote is called, any member may call for yeas and nays, but not in a roll call vote, just to test the water, so to speak. Clear as mud.
So when you abstain, it's yes.
Correct.
So.
If you don't say anything,
Or don't say anything?
yeah, you can't, if you
So how
can't
about, is
stay,
there
you're
certain
gonna
rules
abstain.
to abstain that you should or shouldn't? I mean, there's some obvious ones. Yeah, I don't matter.
So are you saying, Chuck, that there's a or that there is a Surrey city code that supersedes Robert's rules and the League of Cities rules that says if you abstain from voting, it's a yes?
Chapter 3 of the organization and procedure of the city council for the city of Surrey. On page 3-4, paragraph 8, 3.0111, council procedures and general rules, paragraph 8.
So if you don't want to count it as a yes vote, then you just don't say anything.
No, if you don't say anything, it's a yes.
Oh, for crying out loud.
So you abstain, it's still a yes?
Yep, you gotta say no.
Okay.
That is
Yeah, they don't-
ridiculous.
So what happens if,
Well, say it's a,
say,
I know you're gonna go, that's fine.
no, say Steve's wife is up for a raise. He can vote yes on her raise?
Right, that's a good question.
I haven't found anything in there that said different.
That's something you shouldn't, because you have personal
Some conflict of
liability
interest.
in that.
You can't vote for something that,
Steve can say no.
you can vote against it.
You could abstain and then close the reason and find it. And then it would be recorded that way, so if anybody was ever questioning it, it could go back on.
But then it would still be a yes.
It would be a yes, but if everybody else said no, then it would be all no's and one would be marked as abstaining. We counted as a yes, but it would still be in there as the abstaining.
The way I've been taught, the right way to do it is if you abstain, you disclose the reason.
Okay, we round that around enough?
Can we revisit this when the ordinance committee gets together?
Couldn't understand it.
We're wondering if
Can
we
we
could
revisit
revisit.
this issue when the ordinance committee gets together? Because I don't agree with that at all.
She said yes.
Thank you.
Okay, First District Health Unit. Is there a document in here?
Yep.
It was on the table when you got there.
Yep, there it is. First District Health Unit, Tyrell Craft. Legal address Lot 4, Knutson's Edition. You are hereby notified that the First District Health Unit has examined certain premises owned or occupied by you and has found thereon certain conditions to exist which are a nuisance, a source of filth, or cause of sickness, which conditions are generally described as dilapidation of siding, roof, and skirting, providing harborage of vermin, excess junk, debris on a lot, and odorous cat urine. You are hereby notified that you must abate and remove such nuisance, source or of filth or cause of sickness upon such property owned or occupied by you within 30 days of receiving this notice by taking the following actions. Repair the roof, siding, and skirting to prevent harborage. Remove all junk, debris, overgrowth to an approved dump site. Clean, disinfect area, and keep cats indoors. You are further notified that in the event you, as owner or occupant, refuse or neglect to comply with such notice, the First District Health Unit, as the first, excuse me, as the District Board of Health may take legal action under Section 23-35-09 and 23-35-13 of the State Century Code, dated 27th day of October, 2020.
This has nothing to do with us. It's First District and the residents.
Well, there was a complaint about it.
There was a complaint.
That's right, it's next door to Peterson, right?
It has nothing to do with us.
Right next to
It's
Peterson.
been brought to us multiple times.
I know, understand, but the legal action that would be taken would not be from us.
Right.
It is.
Right.
No, I know, but I mean, we're the ones, Kevin, were you the one that called them?
First District Health.
Yeah, that's what we said he would do for us.
Engineers report.
District Health.
Before you get to that, can we add any new business? Would you allow us to do that?
Sure.
I guess I'd like to bring up the time clock thing since we're sitting here and we had some issues with it. Do we want to discuss it?
I do.
I do.
Okay, discuss away.
Are there a lot of people that are hourly?
Everybody,
Or they,
they're all hourly.
Everybody.
I'm sorry, I didn't-
All of them are hourly.
oh, I thought you guys were salary.
No, everybody's hourly.
Well, council.
Yeah.
I wanna say one thing about too, but where I work though, is because we are paid 40 hours a week. Unless if we leave before that, you take a vacation day, hour, 2, sick pay, whatever. From ours, we're basically salary, but it's broken down into an hour a week. So that's how we fill it out, basically, kind of sounds like how we do it.
Every hour.
So, my opinion on this, I think a time clock is just an easy, simple thing. Instead of spending thousands of dollars like we kind of did before and it didn't work. But just they punch in, it's not a big deal.
Well, this way it doesn't cost us any money.
Pardon me?
If we do it, if we just continue to do it the way we're doing it, it doesn't cost any money.
But I don't think $200 over punching in a time card. I mean, I did that many, many years ago. I mean, long time. I think it just, it's good record keeping. It's just, everything's good about it.
Do the employees get overtime also? Is that track too?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that benefit the employee then to punch in, punch out?
By
Or-
minute, by
Well, they
minute.
just write it in and write, if they get here at 8, leave
Is
at
that
10
what
at
it
night,
says?
they
Is
write
the
out,
honor system?
yes.
We do have a question, just so you're aware, we do have a question in the audience when we get to it.
I would just like to say, when I first started out here back in 2014, we had if it's concerned about honesty of the time clock, Jenny, or excuse me, past person Johns Jenny, do you remember when we had the actual stamp? This is Connor, by the way, the stamp time punch? That you would put your time card in there and it would physically stamp the time on there?
Yes, I do.
Like what, I don't think that was expensive at all And I don't see any issue in bringing something like that back. When it came to if someone got called out, if we got called out or anything like that, we would just let the auditor or administrator know about the call out or the extra time that we weren't able to physically put on the time card itself.
I have a question for Connor and Kevin. Would it be inconvenient if we got a police department, time clock as well and a public works one? I mean, you walk in the door, you punch the clock, right? And I mean, if you miss the punch, because I know what happens, it's not a big deal, and you get the initials from the city administrator.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't have any issue with having.
That's, I agree with Connor, that's a decision up to the city council, that if they want to, I have no issues with what they decide.
Yeah, and I don't know how much, it was an old school Flintstones type freaking
I
time
like
punch.
the old school.
Yeah,
Isn't that what this is?
I don't know how much it would cost, I doubt it would be anything expensive. but
$44.
It was,
$22.
Yeah.
for the physical ink punch one? All right, do that then.
Does that,
But this
Connor, though,
would
does
be
that
3
screw
time
you
clocks
up,
then?
though, say, when you get called in, because I guess I know Kevin talked about it whenever. So if you get called in, is that gonna screw you up, say, by the time you get here? You
No.
get paid for the drive time here or something like that?
And
maybe that's fine.
if I get called out, I mark the time I get that phone call. As-
But if you don't get here till, say, then you're not gonna come here first, unless you don't have a car.
I will come here first if we don't have a car.
But then you're gonna have to.
Yeah, I mean,
If you got 20 minutes or a half hour drive, you should be paid for that, whatever you are doing
The
now.
public administrator would have to be
Sign off on
notified to put it on.
correct, yeah, I would let Diane or Nina know of the time that I was calling, so.
I think the police department's gonna be the only place that, the rest are all from the, start work here every day. So, I mean, you guys are a little different. from that.
Right, but I mean, like, AJ or John are also on call, so I mean, it's essentially the same thing, so. That's just my 2 cents on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I would rather see it on the computer myself instead of that actual time card. And I know it's more money, but I think that's why we got the system to begin with. So you're not dealing with somebody figuring out how much time there actually are. It calculates it for you and it's done.
Diane, is that computer system, workable yet, or do we have to
I have no
we have to
idea. Mike says
reapply?
it's expensive.
Diane, when
Say
you and I
again?
looked at that one program, it was like 1,200, right?
Mhm.
We were on a phone conference with something that would be considered. Yeah.
Twyla, you are on a speaker or a microphone, so.
I know.
How much time does it take to do the figuring out? I mean, I know it's time consuming without a doubt. I don't want you to do it manually. I would rather you push a button and it's done.
Easy manually, honestly, for the amount of employees.
They don't have 25 employees.
Exactly, I mean, I'm doing that at the school, whether the job is excessive, however, what do we have, 7, 9 employees?
Yeah, it's easy.
I do it every 2 weeks, and it's totally not every 2 weeks. There's actually a system where you punch in the hours and it calculates it for you. I mean, it's not like you're physically doing it, you're just punching in the time on the time clock.
And it'll calculate it automatically at the end of 2 weeks. Like you worked
Yeah.
80 hours regular, 2.5 hours overtime, and you just punch it into wherever you punch it into and check.
So that's,
Yeah, it's a time card, called time card calculator, and it does exactly that, but I mean, you need the punches on a physical card, and then you just input those in there. But seriously, I did it today, and it took all of 5 minutes.
And these kids write their times down on a card, and I've never questioned what times they gave to me to enter into the payroll.
so Jenny, what you're saying is that using that time clock calculator or time card calculator, it's very simple with a time card, correct? So what's the difference between a time card, a handwritten time card, and a punch time card?
Because the expense, I guess, the time clocks on the wall are a one-time expense, the computer system is a yearly expense.
I
I'm not,
that needs to be re-upped every year?
I'm not referring to the electronic one. I'm talking about, currently we're using the handwritten, but we're still using that, what would be the time clock or time card calculator, just on the computer. So why spend, like you said, it'd be three time clocks, which would be over $600. Why spend that when we're currently using something that is just, it'd just be basically having someone go to a physical location and punch it every single time. I don't see why that's worth $600.
Accountability.
But it'd be convenient for the public works employees and the police department to come all the way into the office to punch in. I completely agree with that. They normally, you punch in the morning, you take right out. I mean, I don't think Chuck, I don't think this was his intention when he bought these machines, or this one machine, was to inconvenience everybody. And the convenience would be to add two more, to go one-time fee, and once in a while you add into it.
I'm thinking back in the past when I was the mayor and we didn't have anything at times, I would literally get calls that questioned when so-and-so was working. When did he get here and when did he leave? I know he wasn't here at 5 because he wrote it in. If he punched it out, there's no questioning. It's done.
Can't we just do this time clock for, till the next meeting, so see how. After that, video. I make a motion to install the time card, the Chuck bot, and after 30 days, we evaluate.
A motion by Brent to,
If Diane comes and says this doesn't work, we'll go from there. If she thinks that we should have it in the police department and public works, then we'll look into putting it there, or just doing one, let's just try it. We've wasted a lot more than $220 here so far.
We've saved a lot more too, though. A lot more.
On what's that?
I'll second for discussion.
we have a motion by Brent,
We have a comment from the audience, if you'd like to entertain it, sir.
second, I'm writing here, just
Yep, sorry.
second,
Nothing else.
by Steve.
Did you want an answer to that?
I don't know what.
After you stop making faces at me?
You're the one that just glared at me and I looked
I
back
thought
at
we
you
had-
like, what are you
No,
waiting
no, we're
for?
not
I
doing
didn't
this.
do anything.
Chuck.
Yep. Connor, come and arrest somebody.
I'm off duty,
Okay.
an employee, but not working. No, if it's a question of, wondering if someone's being honest with their time card, I don't see any issue with having the physical function with the occasional potential call out right in time. So, and I saw what happened with previous chief,
That's what I'm getting at.
and so just if it's to dispel any question as to what time any employee physically got here, what's the harm of it? I can see where Mike is saying that it's obviously more cost effective to just have the handwritten cards that we've got just countless made, and it's cents to print them and cut them. I can see what you're saying, but if it's an issue of trust against the employees, I mean, I'd like to think we're all pretty trustworthy and that it's not gonna be a big deal if we do have the one where we have to physically punch it. So, again, thank you.
I have a statement or a question. I do think that if we're gonna do this, the piece of machinery should be looked at by Anita and I to see if it fits our office. To get time cards that have 2 weeks on them instead of 1. I just feel the people using it know what they need.
Like I said, there is a Excel spreadsheet in the computer where you just print them off yourself, save a ton of money.
Well, we're doing that, Jenny.
We do that now.
We do it all the
We log
time.
our time in.
That's it. I mean, as long as you do it double-sided, it's great.
We have it all on one side.
Okay, we have a motion by Brent to, use the time clock and a second by Steve. Any further discussion?
On your motion, are they being able to get the clock that's gonna work. Whether it's the one that he has,
We know it don't work.
oh, we don't, no, I'm just saying,
I don't know. I guess that's,
I think we need a clock that is gonna work for what we needed here, and I don't know if the one that Chuck bought's gonna do that, I have no idea. If it does, great, if not, can we send it back and get one for, let's call it $300 or whatever you want to do?
But you don't wanna use, if you use one, you can't send it back.
Well, no, you need to know what, like, that's what I'm saying, if the one that Chuck bought is not gonna do what you need it to do, then we have to authorize you so much money to purchase one that's going to.
I mean, if Chuck would just take his back, we will work on getting what works for us.
Correct, but it's his motion. Right now, we're buying
I
his
guess,
machine.
isn't a time clock, even if that doesn't show for 2 weeks, if you punch in your cards for 1 week, you don't just add the two together and do your 2 week pay period?
No, but some of the time clocks will they'll add the time up for you, where some of them won't add up the time for you.
Right.
And I don't know what his is gonna do.
This one just hits the time.
Just hits the time, and then they gotta do it manually.
Then we gotta manually do it like we do.
Others will hang on the wall, others will sit on a table. Yeah, some of them will automatically
Correct.
change your time during.
But I don't know how much one that calculates it costs, I have no idea.
Clute had two of them, just a second, Stephanie. Clute had two of them there that I talked, one was 350 and the other was 4 something. Clute office equipment.
Okay.
Down on, First Avenue, I think. Stephanie,
I was just going to say, I guess I would have looked at it in the sense that people don't trust you, to manually write down your times, but in a sense, the time could protect the employees, from somebody saying they aren't working when they really are, because they physically punched in. But also, I would think it could be really easy to create an Excel spreadsheet to punch in the time that does all the math for you.
thank you. Any further comment from the board?
What is, can I ask for sure, what is the motion?
Let's take your time card and use it. If it don't work in 30 days, guess we'll. Yeah.
Okay, call the question.
Okay, roll call vote. Brent,
Yes.
Steve,
No.
Elaine,
No.
Mike,
No.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Twyla.
No.
That's everybody.
I'd like to make a motion.
Motion does not pass. Mike,
I make a motion that we allow Anita and Diane to get together and check for a cheaper one and one that'll fit what we're asking for them to do.
Mike made a motion to have the office staff find their own time clock.
I'll second that.
Are we putting a dollar limit on it?
Can they bring the information back into next meeting?
Yeah.
Can we put it at the discretion of the mayor? Up to a certain dollar amount? If he deems it, if he thinks it's appropriate spending.
Mike made a motion to have the office staff find a time clock with the approval of the mayor.
I don't think little things that, yeah,
So we don't have to wait a month.
yeah.
So you wanna put a money amount that, what'd you say, there was $350, $400? Put something aside.
350 to 450, the ones I've talked to him about. You can probably buy them online cheaper, I don't know.
Go to Office Depot and find one for a little over $100, I bet.
Are we buying one or are we buying three?
Just one for now.
Okay, Mike made a motion to buy a time clock, have have the office staff pick it out with the approval of the mayor. Have it second by Twyla. Any further discussion? Mike,
Yes.
Twyla,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Is this to, what are we doing? This is to buy a different time clock that you already bought?
correct, yes.
What if the one he has works?
Well, we'll
If
keep
they
it,
can look at it and deem that it works, that's perfectly fine. You weren't giving them the option. That's why I'm giving them the option.
I guess, yes.
Elaine?
Yeah.
Steve?
Yep.
Is that everybody?
Brent.
Yep, okay. Engineers report, Public Works report. No report?
Public Works.
He said nothing.
Steve was gonna go through that.
Say what?
Steve will go.
I was going through this?
I'll
Yeah.
do it if you don't want to.
Well, I can, it don't matter. Go ahead.
I gotta find it. Hang on. Current projects for October that the Public Works were working on. RV park blowout, starting valve exercising, starting clean of the manhole lip eyes out. That sound right? Start flushing the dead end manholes and checking the manholes. Remarking the southwest vacant lots, curb marks, and in case borders disappear. Found bad grease backup on 6th. Cul-de-sac flushed, jetted, and checked every few days, and checked down the manholes to make sure the grease washed out 3 different times. Worked on meter issues, had several that are coming apart internally. Magnets are coming off. Added safety lights in the dump truck. Noticed that a growling hydraulic leak took a Dakota Fluid Powers repairs. Seal kit approximately 3 weeks out. Got Christmas decorations down. Worked on the new sound system. Cut a tree that was across the road behind the fire department due to high winds, which I helped with. Generators, checked the generators hourly during power outage. And had a bad transducer in the southwest lift station that was replaced.
We have a motion to accept the Public Works report.
Yeah.
We don't need
When
to
have
do
we
that.
ever done that?
Yeah, we don't do that.
No, we don't do
Don't
that.
have to, okay. City auditor report.
I'm good, unless you guys have anything for me.
Keep being awesome.
Thanks for the break.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Anita, for putting on the parade. It was small, but it was still pretty cool. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Mayor, police report.
Mayor, Council, on a lighter note, I also want to thank Anita, Diane, citizens of Surrey for having the Halloween event, because even though it was a hurricane, it was fun and the kids enjoyed it and everybody had a good time. So thank you to everybody. I'm direct and to the point, so I don't take up your time or the audience time, so I only have 6 things to bring up this evening for the last 2 months. I had a staff meeting with the officers, told them what my expectations were for the department. We went over everything at the staff meeting. And in the last 2 months, I have gotten good comments from the citizens and phone calls and talking to them that they're happy to see the officers patrolling out in the streets, going to the sporting event, and also walking through the school. And I got to give Connor and Anna credit for that, because they've been doing a good job going to the school and sporting events and responding to the medical calls that we've had a rash of lately. So I want to thank them for that. As far as the office work goes, I've been getting caught up on the state reports that always take quite a while to get done. There were a bunch of them from the spring that hadn't been completed yet. So I am all caught up on the reports for the state, so I made them happy that that was done. I've been working, I completed the radio survey for the state. We're gonna get $3,000 back reimbursement because of that for our new radios. And I'm also in the process, the state is going to a new trunking system, so we have to get all new police radios. The good news is that we're gonna get a $1,500 reimbursement on every radio. And if things work out well, we have a distributor through Third Watch in Denver that'll probably be buying our old radios for $2,700 each. So in the long run, instead of paying $4,400 per radio, we'll probably end up spending $1,100 per radio when we're all said and done, if it all comes together. So I've been working on that. I'll be completing some more of the paperwork on that the rest of this month and into December. The power outage. I strongly believe that when I was here last time as chief, and Carlisle remembered it, that we did the emergency operations center and so forth. We come to find out when we were out of power the other day for up to 3 hours, we don't even have emergency lighting in this building, and we have access to nothing when everything is out. This is supposed to be the command center. If the train would derail or something would happen in town. And I brought this up in the past. I think the city really needs to look at having some type of backup generator for this building to run the operation here if something should happen in the city.
What type of time frame would you suggest they run for? That's where we come into the problem. We can make do with backup power with, you know, a couple of hours, no problem. That can be easily taken care of. You want to talk about a generator for the building and for public works, we're looking at a whole different ball of wax.
Well, in order to open up the garage doors, instead of doing them manually to get the public works vehicles and patrol cars out and have emergency lighting in here and have some use to run the radios or whatever we need to run. I know it's gonna be budget constraints, but I think it's something that the city council should look at and decide, talking to Public Works and maybe just starting to feel it out and get some bids and see what you think we would need.
And to back that up too, we did just put in, August through October's reimbursement, for the COVID, wages for policing. So we're gonna be looking at almost 34,000, a little over 34,000 coming back on their end. So I mean, I don't know if that's something.
And we got 81,000 prior on the last one, through that. But like I say, it's something that I think you should start looking at, talk amongst yourselves, the council, and see what you think we could use.
You can't talk amongst yourselves, you gotta talk in public.
Well, I mean, in the meeting, so we know.
But
We know amongst yourselves.
we don't need one to run the sewer system, we just need.
No, the sewer system has their own generators already. We're talking about the building. As the chief rightly makes, this is command center if something goes wrong. And we have no backup whatsoever.
I'm just saying we should look at something within the budget that the city can afford to start maybe getting some ideas after this last experience that we had.
When's the last time we were without power for over 3 hours? I mean, like, it happens so randomly, but at the same time.
It's always for a short time. This was the longest, since I've been here for 6 years, this is the longest it's ever been.
But I think there's some type of system we should have, even if it's for a short while, it's better than what we had for the 3 hours if we would have needed it. Just something to look at. So other than that, I don't have anything else unless the council does.
Wouldn't that be a good thing, like you probably know way more than.
That's why I'm asking what he's looking for, because they can get extremely expensive in a hurry. That's why.
like you said, this is probably the longest time I can remember that we were out of power, but it's better to have some, even if we had to go an 8-hour day maybe, just to be on the safe side. If we had an emergency like we did that time down here when the winds knocked out all the power in town, we had no water for the fire trucks a few years ago down on the south side here. And this was the command center up here, but we couldn't do a lot because we were down.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
So just something food for thought.
Okay.
Other questions?
Carla?
I might suggest, reaching out to Work County Emergency Operations, talk to their coordinators, see if they have any input on how many hours or what you might need. The whole point of having it is if you have an emergency, a power outage for 5 hours is an emergency, but if there's an ice storm in town without power for 24 hours, that's an emergency, and that's what you're trying to plan for.
Or a week or.
Or a week, but it's not excessive. I don't think you'd call Cummins to bring in a $60,000 generator, but I think somebody who specializes in emergency management would be a person to talk to when you're trying to manage an emergency.
I'm just looking for some guidance that we can start and have. Okay, that I have nothing else. It won't take up much.
Kevin, any like part-time person leaves at all, or what are you doing?
Mike Nathan is on his second shift tonight working part-time.
Anybody else that works?
Right now, we're handling it. It's working out good, so I'm playing it by ear. With this COVID thing, it's mainly been the medical calls.
Seen the ambulance out here a couple of times lately.
Like I said, it's mainly been the COVID calls.
Yeah. Okay.
Mayor, I got a question.
Yes,
Dan, did you want to make any comment as to how the new gal is working in the office?
she's working out very, very well. She's friendly. She picks it up real quickly. She's doing well.
Mike, did you have something?
Nope, I'm
You
done.
guys are done. If you want me to take the lead on that, and Diane can hook me up with some, emergency planning managers in Ward County, I'll look into it, whether it's just trying to help.
My generator at home is 5,500 watts. It runs on propane. It has 410 circuits and a 220. And I doubt if I got more than $1,000 in the whole setup. But it's one you gotta go and start too,
It's
so,
everything, yeah.
no, but
How much did your transfer switch cost you? How much did your transfer switch cost? Never mind.
Transfer
Yeah.
switch.
It don't matter. Let's go on.
Transfer switch.
oh,
It don't matter. It don't matter.
yeah, that
It doesn't
cost more to hook it up than it cost.
Yes, Lisa is amazing. Her attitude and just coming in and it brings a new feedback to the office again.
Tax abatements,
The 122 empty lots in Silver Springs have filed for 2018 tax abatements,
122.
122 lots. We do need to pick a date to meet, and we're supposed to pick a date within 10 days of when I received the notice. However, Noreen, the assessor, called me and she's trying to work with them. They've got some numbers on what they're asking really skewed, and she would like to get that cleaned up before we have to meet and go through each one. So it's a little bit on hold, but we will be having a special meeting for that.
And we have to set the meeting tonight, correct? And it has to
Well,
be 30 days
But she
from.
came with this new information about working with them. She called them and said, can I help you with your numbers? And they said, absolutely. So it's a little bit on hold because she's gonna help them get these new numbers now.
Okay.
So I told her to let me know.
You have clarification though that it has been paused, so we don't get in trouble.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that what you're going for?
That
Okay.
was my concern. because of
I'll
those
reach out
deadlines.
again, but, that's pretty much what she was saying to me, but I'll clarify, so.
Okay, make sure she like gives you it by email that says the dates are fine.
Yep.
We don't have to meet the deadlines yet.
Okay.
And she's helping them going through this.
Right. She's a tax assessor.
6, 7, and 8,
Christmas party. Is there any interest?
Considering the COVID, is anybody interested in a Christmas party?
Oh. Yeah, I don't.
I can't make it.
How about permission to close the office on, Friday after Thanksgiving?
Will we have people on call, Diane?
The guys will be, I think John will be over Thanksgiving because is AJ going? Yeah.
What
Okay,
has been done in the past?
We've given them a holiday, if I remember correctly. Jane, do you remember that? Typically that's a holiday?
Jenny?
Yep, sorry, we're allowed to close, day after Thanksgiving, yeah. We have to use our own.
Oh, yeah,
Employee holiday.
definitely. Yep,
Vacation time or something.
yep, we know that.
And the same for Christmas Eve?
Christmas Eve, we usually work a half a day.
Well, and the reason, Jenny, on this one is that it's a Friday and is it Thursday or maybe it's a Thursday? Is it a Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay. We just didn't feel like anybody be coming in on a Thursday to pay their water bill on Christmas Eve. They'll be home cooking. But if you want us to be here, we will. We just thought we'd ask.
I'm fine with them taking it off. I take Christmas Eve off, so.
Yep.
Anybody?
Any comments?
Really,
I'm fine with that.
no matter to me, we have to work it at the county. Tell me, but it don't matter. I mean, they want it off.
Other business?
I have one more thing. I have one more
Okay.
thing. What do I do with it now? Mr. Dickinson asked me when I commented that we'd saved a lot of money in the year that I've been here. He said, with what? We saved on the garbage bill by $14,000 a year. We changed our insurance deductible for over $1,500. We got a 25% discount on the workforce safety fees. We are gonna get rid of the copy machine and save $6,000 a year. The interest rate that I was able to get on all the money that was not getting in, most of it that was not getting interest, has more than doubled. So it's a total of $30,450 in 1 year.
And what I was talking about, the time card, nothing else.
No, you asked, I said I've saved this city a lot of money, and you said on what? And so
Very
I'm
good,
telling you.
thank you.
You're welcome. It's just, I'm not looking for praise, I'm just doing my job.
Just so I explain it, I was only talking about the time clock, nothing more.
Okay, other business, we've got correspondence. Anybody have any correspondence?
I just have one more thing.
Who's this?
Jenny.
This is Jenny.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to remind everybody, in our city ordinance, under the mayor's power, it does say that you can prescribe such rules and regulations as he shall be necessary. So to keep that getting time clock in the office is a good idea, and I feel like we should have that come up on that. Just saying, I mean, I know we voted to do it, but then, at the end, however, like if he thought the time clock that he got was suitable for the office, then I think we should have went along with it. I mean, he's been a carpenter for years, I would assume that he picked one out that he thought was good. That's all I have.
I guess I have a comment too, or a question more than anything. When did the mayor, have you ever gotten the keys to the building yet?
Not yet.
Who's got them and how come we're not getting them from the mayor?
Okay, I was the mayor and I've misspoke. I had the keys and then when they got the whole security system in, I gave the keys back. And I don't know why you would want the keys. To be honest, Chuck, I really don't know why you would.
But why would
I
you
guess
not
I
have
don't
the
know
mayor?
that I want them, it's just,
Who's stopping it? Is what I'm-
just having to be let into the building when I come in to bring stray cats in and stuff.
But like even the stray cats, well, that's the whole.
There's questions out here, Chuck.
Hey, Carla, what you need?
I never had the keys, or John never had the keys, Fran never had the keys. Chuck Schmidt did have the keys to the office, but not city hall.
But do you ever read that?
100%.
What's that?
Okay, making sure at 100% that he's there.
That's not what I was told.
He works.
Any other questions, couple more questions on the floor?
We're,
Anita and our attorney, sir.
Nita first, ladies first.
No problem.
If his topic is to this, mine is on another topic.
Mine's on a different topic as well.
Okay. I just wanted to, remind everybody, we're gonna still try to do the, gift packages for families in need around our community for the holidays.
Yeah.
So if you guys wanna buy roses for somebody you care about, we're gonna be selling them for $10 a dozen. And then using, a portion of those funds to purchase, some items to get started with for gifts for Thanksgiving. And whatever we can try to come up with for Christmas. But the idea of COVID, we might not be able to have our kids sit on Santa's lap. So if you guys got any input, you got any kind of positive vibes, please send them my way. Thank you.
Mr. Schultz,
Yeah, if the council reconsiders the Christmas party, my firm will do up to $500 in food. We'll cover it. If you'll decide to.
maybe a summer party.
Did everyone see the correspondence from, the, state lab on,
Oh, on the tree dump?
yes.
Yeah,
and
that was really nice.
The
That was-
inspection was a very good inspection. At the very end, it said site is well maintained and well managed.
Looks
I
good
think
out
our
there.
public works deserves a little pat on the back whenever we can get it to them. Okay. We're done?
Connor,
Kind of along the same vein as Anita's, thing, the Surrey Valley Region Internal Order of Police are hosting a food drive for the Mascot Crisis Center. Their food pantry has been diminished, due to recent, COVID. So we are also accepting, canned goods, quickly prepared, long-term shelf life, items at the police department too, if anyone would like to drop anything off with the Mascot Crisis Center.
In the box is located in City Hall.
Andrew, I'm gonna put you on the spot. You wanna contribute $500 for that?
No.
good job, don't put it on us.
We got one more question, sir.
Who wants that now? Tara,
I just wanted just to clarify something with Jenny.
Oh, God.
Where does that keep coming from?
I think if
From
you
this one
barely
here.
move.
Pull it back.
Mine? Is it mine?
The one on the table.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
Lila's.
Yeah, sorry.
I just wanted to clarify one thing with when Jenny said that with that vote, I know I'm a little bit, concerned with how she voted since she, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it and then we don't have to discuss it. Since, I think it's a conflict of interest because it's her charges and it's her subpoenaing the public employees. And then she voted on whether or not the employee should be reimbursed for her charges. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I do think it's a conflict of interest. She was elected, but she was charged after. I just wanted to say that.
me move, motion to adjourn.
I make that motion.
Motion by Brent.
Machine for 21 minutes.
You're welcome.
$61.25.
I don't wanna hear it.
3 hours.
2.5.